Good morning, Professor David Rowe, the University of Miami Law School.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Professor Rowe, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions in relation to the change in administration in Jamaica.
I'll be happy to assist you.
Thank you, Professor. Professor, why do you think the JLP lost the elections?
The Jamaica Labour Party, which was ruling Jamaica, lost the general election because of the Christopher Coke scandal and its implications. During that scandal, the government of Jamaica violated the treaty between the United States and Jamaica, and that treaty violation led to the development of crime in Jamaica, the incidents in Tivoli Gardens in which 77 people or more died, and a general lack of trust developing between the people and the government. And the people spoke with one voice and literally threw the Jamaica Labour Party out of power in December of last year.
Many issues that you discussed affected the popular vote. How important was the trust issue?
Well, I think the trust issue was the most important single issue. Jamaicans felt that they could not believe what the government spokespersons, the Jamaica Labour Party government spokespersons, were telling them about any issue. So, unfortunately, the entertainment industry began to make songs about the many lies that had been told by the government. There was an inquiry in which government officials deliberately misrepresented the facts to the populace. And the trust factor, which is such an important part of a Westminster model democracy, fell down, and Jamaica had had enough, and they voted out the Jamaica Labour Party.
Professor Rowe, is the Prime Minister's cabinet too large?
Which Prime Minister?
Prime Minister Portia Simpson.
The new cabinet is large, but the country has many problems, and therefore it is not unreasonable that a new Prime Minister would try to develop a cabinet to address the problems that she has to deal with. Now, perhaps 2 or 3 years down the line, the Prime Minister will be able to look at her cabinet and decide whether she needs to do a reshuffle or whether she needs to adjust the number of ministries that she currently has. At this point, some people think that the number of ministries is unwieldy and that we can make certain financial gains by not proceeding with that depth and that breadth of government. We can only wait and see. But as I indicated, these are issues which can be adjusted by prime ministerial dictate in the middle of the term if necessary.
Professor Rowe, it has been suggested in the press that Stephen Vassiani would be the new U.S. ambassador. What are your views on this?
But Stephen Vassiani was a Rhodes Scholar. He is currently the principal of the Norman Manley Law School. He is one of the leading scholars in international law in the areas of arbitration and in the areas of human rights. He has a position in the United Nations as one of their significant international experts or advocates. So I would endorse Stephen Vassiani as a good candidate for U.S. ambassador. He is clearly somebody who the people will trust and who, because of his scholarship, will bring a great deal of information and expertise to the table. And that this is unfortunately, one of the appointments where we have not had in the last 10 to 15 years ambassadors who had very extensive experience in international affairs before being appointed. But Stephen Vassiani does have that extensive experience. So I expect that he will do well, and I think that that appointment is a good appointment.
Thank you, Professor Rowe. How can the Jamaica-US relationship be repaired after the Christopher Dodds Coke crisis?
Well, it's important for the two nations to talk to each other. I think Pamela Bridgewater, as the U.S. ambassador to Jamaica, is going to make a big difference for Jamaica, because she's somebody who Jamaicans have had dialogue with, and I know a number of Jamaicans who have a very, very high regard for her. So first, an asset to the relationship is Ambassador Pamela Bridgewater. Additionally, I would say that the attitude of the new Minister of Foreign Affairs, A.J. Nicholson, which is to try to restore confidence, try to bring the United States into Jamaica's confidence, to share, and for the two nations to cooperate on issues of international importance. This is very, very vital to the continuing development of a good relationship. The relationship has been bumpy in the past, and so this is a time when, under a People's National Party administration, I believe that the relationship will be smoothed out, and that 2 or 3 years from now, people will not be remembering the very sour taste that the Christopher Coke crisis has led to in many individuals who have to do business in both the United States and Jamaica.
Professor Rowe, what are your views, do you think, the priorities of the new administration?
Well, I think economic stability is going to be one of the priorities. The newer relationships with the IMF, with the IADB, with the World Bank, and with international lenders generally will be important. But I think that the reintroduction and the maintenance of the rule of law, the reduction of the murder rate in Jamaica, and the reduction of violent crime is a very important priority for this administration. So while the administration is looking for economic opportunities on the world markets, they must not forget that it is their responsibility to enforce the rule of law and keep Jamaica sufficiently stable that we do not seem to have times when major parts of our urban areas are in disorder, as happened with the Tivoli incident of a few years ago, and as has happened in the past. If we can achieve stability in terms of a lowered crime rate and in terms of peaceful inner cities, I think Jamaica can go anywhere in terms of attracting business, foreign direct investment. However, if we cannot maintain the level of stability which is required for foreign investment projects to exist and operate without being stultified, then I think that Jamaica will have a very good economic and legal future. But we must focus on the reduction of the murder rate and the retention of stability in the inner city. And once that is achieved, then the sky is the limit.
Professor, finally, what are your predictions for the JEEP program?
Well, the JEEP program has probably had to be redefined by the new government because of the realities of the financial shortfall in the JDIP program, which was where the JEEP program was supposed to receive most of its funding. It appears that there is a $10 billion hole in the budget. How much of that relates to JDIP, the JDIP scandal, we don't know at this point, but the the Ministry of the Finance Ministry has suggested, and the minister has said flatly that there is a $10 billion hole in the budget. Now, if there's a $10 billion hole, for them to make the type of commitment that they spoke of during the election to the JEEP program is going to be very difficult for them. But I think it's important that they do so, just so that a promise made to the populace would not turn out to be a paper promise or an improper promise, but a real promise. And so let us hope that before, certainly before we would be leaving office, sometime before that, we would definitely know where the money, the $10 million hole, how that money disappeared, who has the responsibility for misusing that money, and hopefully most of that money can be returned if it has been stolen, so that the significant JEEP program, as it was anticipated and conceived by the Right Honourable Prime Minister Portia Simpson, it is our hope that that program will be maximally introduced into Jamaica and can create the social safety net that the program creates, particularly for young unemployed people. But sadly, the attempt to protect some of the young unemployed masses has been thwarted by what appears to have been an over-expenditure or misallocation of funds in the JEEP program. And maybe in the next 3 or 4 weeks, after some more investigations, we'll be able to talk more about that information as it becomes available.
Thank you very much, Professor Rowe, for coming on Caribbean Law TV, and your views are appreciated, and I would like to thank you again once more.
Thank you very much, sir. Take very good care.